All right, I'm here with John Wiley. We are in the middle of spring sports. Temperatures in the 70s, sunny weather, snow has melted. John, thanks for your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So, what are the highlights this season? We've got a lot of participation, a lot of teams having success early on. Let's have you start out by which one you want to tell us about the most.
Well, there are about 150 kids out for spring sports, which is a number we're really happy with. But I think the combination of the of the thawing and the wonderful temperatures recently for sports has made this really exciting, and we're all off to really good starts.
And the one that I think we're most looking forward to, and not as much about wins and losses, is just the return of the sport, is girls lacrosse. What can you tell us about girls lacrosse?
Girls lacrosse is a sport that's been going on for close to 30 years at our school, and we're really excited today, Dave. We've got we got our opener, and last year we didn't have enough girls for the program, which is really, really hard. But some people have been doing some heavy lifting now for quite some time, and that starts with Nicole Rockwell, who's our new head coach. She was hired this summer to kind of drum up the interest and get out there, and she's done exactly that. And she's got 15 girls who are ready to play, and we're kind of in the entry level of the Girls Lacrosse League in the state. We're going to play some big school JVs. This is our varsity, and we're excited about it. And it's a very young team. Two outstanding freshmen lead a strong freshman class. Those kids, Katie Simpson and Liv Okamoto, are going to be heard from right off the bat. But we also have some upperclassmen that were part of the last team we had on the field, 2 years ago, that ended their season in the state tournament. So they bring some experience to the table, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And Nicole's really doing a great job, and Blake is her assistant coach, and he comes from Bellevue Lacrosse, which has a strong tradition as well of great lacrosse on the boys' side, but has made the transition to coaching girls.
And the good thing about the coaches that we have in this sport is they're really relatable to these young players. I mean, they're just removed out of the game themselves, so
Right.
they are able to work with these young players, and some of them may have never played the sport before, but just the learning that they're getting on the field with these coaches has got to be special.
I can't say enough good words about both of them. They both went to UC Santa Barbara. They both played college lacrosse. They're both co-captains, respectively, for the women's and the men's programs. So they bring in a lot of success in the sport. But it's also, I think, a template I'm a big fan of, which are younger, taking nothing away from older coaches, because many of us are. But if you can find the right coach just out of college that's professional, that's responsible, that's ready to lead, I'm a big fan of giving them the support they need to be successful. And I think you'll find that these two together are going to do great things.
On the boys' side, Coach Lou Sabino, he's got his players. They had early season success with their first game at home against Bellingham. What can you tell us about boys' lacrosse?
Well, I was on the sidelines when they opened up, and I saw them play Bellingham, and right off the bat I noticed a faster, more athletic team. It's a really good freshman class. We have not had a freshman class like this in quite a while. These are kids who are coming in and making an impact and playing major minutes and supporting. There's some veterans out there too, right? I mean, Ronan Walsh is one of the best lacrosse players in the state in my book. He started off with 7 goals, but he's been growing. He's only a junior. His growing in his leadership ability, and guys like Oliver Thomas, who haven't played a ton of lacrosse, are making big strides, scoring a lot of goals. They have I think a really good shot to compete well this year. They're already 2-1. That was a big win over Kennedy the other day. They're in their league. Tonight we see Blanchette. That's a good check for them as well. But I think this is going to be a team that has the depth. Freshmen, kind of like Ryan Bartlow, who everyone loves, who's athletic, who's played the game. Johnny Biner, guys that they're lacrosse players. Luke Taylor. There's a whole bunch. Josh Colleran's already scored a goal. So there are some big pieces to the puzzle that I think this year's team offers.
And these guys have a lot of energy from what I've seen in the practices. It's almost like this energy that's contagious. I mean, they are chattering, they are running hard. And you also have some good assistant coaches there that are pretty newly removed from the game that are alums, I believe.
Well, yes, and it starts with the head coach in Lou Sabino, who is a veteran head coach. He is a terrific lacrosse coach, great teacher of skills to kids, and I think he I can tell enjoys his staff. He's been able to pick up a couple alums along the way, and this year's no different. Curtis is back for his second round with us, and Colton Umberger, who was a great player for us. It seems like yesterday. I believe he graduated in 14, went on to play some college lacrosse at Rollins and Chapman, and brings a lot of energy himself. So it's great to have the young alums involved who were dedicated players, and I think they kind of pass that on as coaches.
It's kind of, you always say, once an owl, always an owl. Back, so. Let's talk a little bit about girls golf. Ivy was at state last year. She's back this year. She's having a lot of success early on. What do you like about golf this year? Because do we have a new coach this year?
We do. Okay. Chad Tatchell is a coach that we've been lucky for golf coaches. We've had a succession of 1 year golf coaches who have been fantastic, and taking that thing away from Jordan last year, who was just great and is one of the nicest people you'd ever get to work with. The problem about getting coaches right out of school or just starting out their career is sometimes their career is going to take priority, and I understand that, and that's what's happened with Jordan. Chad Tatchell is a longtime PGA pro who has been a kind of a legend on the East Side. Used to own Carnation Golf Course. He's been involved. His family is knee deep into golf, and has been for 20 years on the East Side at least. Chad is I think what's great about Chad is he offers all these skills as far as teaching golf, but he also relates to kids really well. And it's not easy to come in as the new coach, as a male coaching girls, and have them as comfortable as they are and to go out and play like they are. Now, there's some new faces on the team, but what's consistent about it, hey, Ivy Hate's one of the best golfers in the state. Last year, she proved it at state. She has started out this year in their first two matches. Overlake has won both of them. These are league matches. So you see Bear Creek and you see Seattle Academy, and you see other schools who are involved. The whole league golfs under one roof, basically, every match. And yesterday, they went out to Jefferson and, won it again, and Ivy was the medalist again. So I think that's going to be a formula you're going to see. Chad's just doing great with them. John Smith's a longtime assistant, and they're out there and they're scoring, and I think they're going to be making a run into the league tournament and then by districts. And then don't be surprised if Ivy goes out and puts great numbers on the board at state. She might even have a couple of younger players joining her that are off to a good start.
And golf is great just because this time of year, just to be outside and enjoy that.
75 degrees?
Yeah,
come on, please.
Exactly. There's a lot worse places to be. So, boys baseball, they've been doing some incredible things. And I think at a time when maybe the season, we didn't know what we were going to get this year, but tell us a little bit about baseball and what's been happening with them.
Well said. Mike Davidson has been at the helm, I want to say, for 17 years, and he is a terrific coach. And the reason he is as great a coach as he is an optimist, and that, I think, is one of the critical pieces to being a great coach. You always have to believe. You have to believe that even though you're going to graduate, I mean, let's face it, he has had a run of talent over the last several years that any coach would be envious of. A starting shortstop at the D1 level in Peter Dudonakis, who's at Holy Cross, right, who played as a freshman. Ryan Long was a horse who is pitching at Pomona. Telly Lundquist. Bryce DeLay, who's off pitching at Hendrix College. He has had really, really good pieces. Now, they developed under his leadership. And in baseball, Dave, that a baseball player these days in high schools, yes, they play for their high school, and that's a big part of it, but they play summer ball, and they have pitching coaches and hitting coaches and all that stuff. But Mike's job is to develop the kids he has, get them to believe and play together, and he's as good as anybody at it. And so 2 weeks ago, before the season started, he confessed to me that, I don't know how it's going to go. He didn't want to use the word rebuilding, but hey, we've got a lot of guys who have put in their years in our program that haven't really been prime time yet. We also have some young guys who are really promising to build around. And that combination kind of looks, you really have to look at it and say, okay, I think it can work. Well, work it has, right? So you go out, they've gone out and they played Bellevue Christian, a team from state last year who brings up back a lot of guys. They go out behind Matt Wong, who throws a gem, and they beat him 4-2 in a game that looks much more like late season baseball than the first cold night of the year. But that was kind of a harbinger. I mean, we were excited about that. And then, okay, what does last week do? What happens last week? Mike hands the ball to Ananth Iyer, who played JV last year and did just fine. But what's your first varsity start going to look like? Usually it doesn't look like a no-hitter. Yeah. And that's precisely what he threw against Granite Falls on Friday. Saturday, they go up to Coopville, another big one-sided victory. I think we threw a one-hitter. And then we played Sultan. These are all, let's face it, these are all public schools that, generally have strong baseball programs. And, I think some of these teams are going to be improving as the season goes on, but it's our job to go out there and play, and what they're doing is they're playing great. And on Monday, they beat Sultan by a landslide and combined on another no-hitter. So,
and what he's doing is he's not afraid to go up to the mound and a pitcher's thrown a couple innings and say, hey, nice job. The kid's throwing a no-hitter. And he's going to switch it out and put the next pitcher.
He threw 4 guys the other day. And so the good news is we have sophomores making great starts on the mound, because we didn't really, after Telly and Bryce, who were outstanding last year, we didn't really have an idea who was going to be the number 1, number 2, number 3. I'm not sure we do right now, because they're all pitching so well, whether it's Matt or John Campbell's been terrific. Ananth, those guys have been great. They're getting great hitting. We have a shortstop who we could argue is as strong as any in the state for 1A. His name is Gabe Villaflor. He's a Bear Creek guy, as we're a combined program. All Gabe has done is hit 3 home runs in the last week, including a grand slam and another shot on Monday and drive in 7 runs. So baseball is 4-0 with a big game. I think a big game tonight with Kings. Kings is always strong at just about everything. We've handled them pretty well in the last few years, but we're going to go into Kings tonight. We'll see how we do, but I'd love to go into break with a 5-0 record.
And we are going into Project Week. The great thing about baseball is a lot of the teams are taking time off, but the baseball team's doing something special. They're going out to do Habitat for Humanity, aren't they?
Yeah, and that's a reflection of Mike. So what Mike does is every other year he does a service trip, and this year he's going back to Yakima, and they're going to, I believe, build houses for Habitat for Humanity. He has built ball fields in the past in different impoverished areas, and he just gets them swinging hammers, and then later in the day they might be swinging a bat, right? So we've got about 3 games in the Yakima Valley next week, but during the day their schoolwork is to build for Habitat for Humanity and all of the important lessons that brings out of them.
Girls tennis, Jeff Loringer, he's had a lot of success last year at state. And again, kind of like baseball, we didn't know what we were getting this year, but they're having some success this year, aren't they?
Jeff Loringer is one of those guys you plug in and he just delivers season after season. Boys, girls, he's fantastic. The girls are really responding. Camilla's back. She went through a tough junior year last year as far as trying to figure out her role on the team. She decided, and you got to give her credit, right? She comes back, asks to be a captain, does the work, says, where do you want me to play? She might wind up in the doubles end of things for the tournament. Who knows? She's a fantastic singles player too. We've got a pretty strong program, and year after year, let's not forget they won the state title last year. But that was behind the strength of the best doubles team we ever put on the court in Maria and Amanda, and they've graduated. So there's some holes to be filled, and we're competing. We were able to beat Bush 4-1 yesterday, which is a great win, especially on the road, right? And we beat Forest Ridge before that, so it's been a good week so far. We dropped a tough one earlier, and I think that was to Sass. What Jeff is really good at on the court is he probably has the best doubles record of any, and that's a different game. Doubles is a different game at the high school level. Singles a lot of times has more to do with how much tennis year round your top player or two plays. And there are some really good, really well coached year round tennis players in our league. There always seems to be. But doubles not only takes talent, but it also takes being able to work together. And he's got some athletes. There's some multi-sport athletes in that group, but he gets them to play together. And I think what you'll see is a lot of wins and doubles carrying the day because you get to enter 2 singles and 3 doubles every match. And we almost got SAS. It came down to 3 doubles the other day. But we play them again. And U Prep's a tough match as well, always is. But we're well on the way to another successful season in girls tennis.
And what I love about tennis is that you literally have multiple games going on. So you're doing the head twisting, there's something happening on the first court and action on the second court. It's nonstop. So if you haven't been to a tennis match, you really should check it out.
Well, and Jeff does a great job about, technically you can have 8 kids play a day, but Jeff spends his mornings sending out emails to opposing coaches saying, hey, how do we get the numbers 9, 10, 11, 12 players in a match? Do you guys have extra? We'll find extra courts. Let's get everybody involved. And, and I think that goes a long way with his kids.
Excellent. Boys soccer,
Boys
Scott
soccer.
Lane, he's got a lot of players out there that are maybe haven't played Overlake soccer before, but are just great athletes.
Well, that's the difference this year. I think he's adding, this is a really interesting season. It's a heavy senior-laden squad, and I can't say many of our varsities have been throughout the year. So in this case, we have so many seniors, but we also have 3 guys in that senior group who played different sports or last year, or they haven't played until this year. And usually that's kind of hard. This is a 2-time defending state champion with many of those seniors being through the fire of winning those titles. How do you step in? Well, you can step in if your name's Trey Rudolph, Zach Foster, or Eddie Budden. Zach and Eddie came from baseball. It was a real gut-wrenching decision to go to soccer, but they're there because they want to be part of this special run this year, but they also have friends that they've used to play soccer with. In Zach's case, he played soccer in middle school with Evan and Esty, and Eddie's been playing soccer every year in club, has probably always wondered how it would all pan out with school soccer. Trey used to play Crossfire, but hasn't played soccer since middle school. And I believe he's leading the team in scoring already. He's a fantastic talent. And he's a hard worker. And from what I can see and what I'm hearing in practice is, on a 50-50 ball, Trey's going to get it. And he has found the back of the net and has scored key goals. We don't build him an easy schedule. Right? We opened up with Vashon at Vashon. Vashon went to state last year. It was a draw, 1-1. And for a team that is used to winning those games, that's kind of tough. And then we turned around and we played at Lake Washington High School. That's a Kinko 3A school at their place. And, we got down 2-0. And guess what? Came back, another draw. Again, if you're a senior on that team, it's still frustrating because you want the win, but it's a draw. So it's another tie. Then finally, we play Bush. Bush has a ton of talent. Don't be surprised if you hear Bush's name called in the state tournament. They've got a ton of talent. It's young, right? Sophomores, freshmen, for the most part, that are making great plays. They came onto our field, and I think our guys just looked right past them in the first half. But in the second half, Trey and company scored goals to again tie. So it was 3 ties, which is fairly unusual. And it hurts to have a tie on your home field in a league game. But how do you respond? Well, that's what I think's the important stuff. So they responded with 2 wins. The last one against Northwest on Monday, 3-1, convincing fashion. That's a really good, important win. U Prep is a team that you can never look past. They're always competitive. They're always usually in the state field. We saw them on Friday at their place, and we won 2-0. So I think we're getting the ship going the right direction. Scott Lane is challenging his kids. He had a great line. He said, we can either be a team of champions or a championship team. And so you're either satisfied with what you've done, or you're going to go out there and do the things necessary to do it again. Trying to win a state championship, I mean, it's not even fair to put those kind of expectations. And I know the guys put it on themselves every day, but the reality is a lot of things have to break your way.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stay injury free. Yeah. You got to get the right draws. You got to get the right, all these things. But, you know, they know the path and they've been there, and it's going to be exciting to see how close, or will they be able to achieve it again. And I think they're playing really good soccer right now.
Is there a game that's coming up that the fans here at home maybe can come and support the team? I know away games are always tough, especially at a busy time like this, but is there a game on the schedule that we're looking at that maybe you'd like to see?
You had to ask. You know, that's the thing about the schedule. It's random enough, Dave, that you wind up with some games. Like, for example, this week they were out at Starfire to play Northwest. They were just at UPrep, and the fact of the matter is they're going to play again this week, but it's back to Starfire against, you know, their nemesis, right, Seattle Academy. And I know you don't want to go to an away game, but if you found yourself down at Tukwila on Friday afternoon, I think you'd see a great one, because we're going to have a 5:00 kickoff at Starfire against Seattle Academy. You know, those two teams battled last year. They're going to see each other in the playoffs. Last year we saw them in the state semifinals, and we won. Don't think that isn't lost on Seattle Academy. We'll see them again on the 23rd of April at our place. But I'll give you a fun one. Here's a good one for you.
Okay.
420, April 20 is a Saturday, and Overlake's boys soccer team is going to host Redmond High School. You know, here's the big crosstown Kinko rival. And from what I understand, ASB is going all out with concessions of all sorts, maybe a barbecue. Ask Eddie Budden; he wears both hats. But yeah, that's a fun one. If you want to see some really good soccer, that's a great one. If you want to see it at our place.
Excellent. And Girls Ultimate.
Girls Ultimate, absolutely.
We've got a lot of energy with that squad. We've got some alums also back, I guess, that are coaching in that. Is that true, or am I wrong?
If you're talking about Andrew?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you're talking about Andrew Gold, yes, I can tell you he is coaching, and he's with who I believe is about as great a role model coach as you're going to find, and that's Nancy If, right? And Nancy's settling into her position. They have you know, they had to go play Northwest, who I just read some national thing, like Northwest is one of the top 10 schools in the nation in Ultimate, and credit to them and Britt Attic, who've run a great program for a long, long time. So that was a tough one yesterday, but you know, they played Holy Names, which is a big 3A Metro school, and they beat them last week. So I got a chance to watch them play, and Nancy's doing all the right things in the best way, and I think they're improving. They're going to make, I would say, a little bit of a run this year. But you know, it's every day teaching the right things. And Nancy, as a teacher on campus who has so many of these kids, you know, hanging on every word, it's pretty fun to watch.
And I definitely see a vibe with them where you see the Ultimate players hanging, sort of like we saw with volleyball in the fall. Like they're starting to get this you know, attitude of hanging out, and there's a lot more to the game than just what's on the field. And these guys are, you know, definitely hanging out together off the field, and that camaraderie and all that goes in sports.
And I think someone like Jessica Colleran, right? She's a junior, and she's a 3-sport varsity athlete, and she brings a lot of leadership to that group. And so I think that, you know, what she takes from cross country under Micah Orr, and what she took in that great girls basketball run, she brings to this program. And so it's kind of fun to watch all that come together. And there are a lot of girls who are making, I think, big strides on the field.
All right. Well, are we missing anything, or we got them all, didn't we?
I believe we have covered our spring sports, Dave. We certainly have.
All right. Well, I tell you what, all fans, definitely come out, check out your teams, support them. We'll be back with you, obviously, as we're getting closer to the end of the school year with some updates. Stay tuned for some video updates, highlight updates, and as always, go Owls.